What's going on today, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at how to install a boost gauge on the Elantra GT N line. This is something that I've kind of always wanted to do, a mechanical boost gauge for the car to determine if it's making the correct amount of boost or not. I recently found a really good deal on the forums on a complete kit with wiring, the gauge, and a pod. As you can see right here, this is a Defy gauge, I think that's how you pronounce it, but it is molded into the OEM dashboard vent on the driver's side. So this vent alone, or this vent mount rather, is pretty pricey on its own. So I got a really good deal on this whole entire kit from someone that had sold their Elantra GT Sport. So I went ahead and picked it up and figured I could do an install video for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started and see how to install this boost gauge on the Elantra GTs. I am cleaning up the wiring here in the fuse panel from the exhaust valve and also my dash cam. I'm cleaning it all up and putting it in a power distribution block right here that will be mounted just like that. It's going to make everything look super clean over here, get rid of a lot of the wiring under here. So here is everything that I got with the kit, and this is everything you will need to install a boost gauge on your car. Now, you don't need the 6th element vacuum distribution block, which goes right here on your manifold pressure sensor right there, but that is definitely the recommended way to do this. Definitely a super clean way as well. So that was included in this kit because he had installed this before. Also included was a custom wiring harness for the gauge itself. I'm going to be modifying this slightly because I have that distribution block like I showed you guys, so I won't need both fuse taps, but I will still be utilizing one of them for the constant power. But you also have the sender unit here, which has the vacuum input, and then it sends the electronic signal to this harness over here, which will be run inside the car, and this is one of the 2 plugs that will be connected to the back of the boost gauge. The other one is right here. So yeah, that is really everything that is needed for this, and really the only thing you need to buy outside of the boost gauge itself is the vacuum distribution block, and everything else should be included with the gauge, other than the mount. Again, you will need a custom mount or whatever mount you want to go with. Now, in terms of running the wire inside the cabin, I really wanted to do this super cleanly, and I know some people recommended the hood latch cable grommet on this side behind the battery over here. A lot of people recommend the grommet right back there on the passenger side for running larger cables and everything like that. I definitely think that's the way to go for subs or any other power wires into the cabin because of the ease of access. But I'm going to be doing the challenging way here, the hood release grommet, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not, but I have a little zip tie poking through, and that was a pain to get through that grommet because it is wedged behind like an ECU or computer module back there. But anyways, I'm going to attach this wire right here, which is the main harness cable for the gauge itself, attach it to that zip tie, and hopefully pull it through the other side and show you guys how I'm going to route the wiring. So getting to that grommet was incredibly difficult because of that computer you guys can see right there, because it lies about 6 inches up behind that. So you have to have extremely small hands to get access to that grommet, but it is doable, and it's best doing it just like this, sitting outside the car, reaching your hand up behind there and then feeling for the grommet. You really cannot see it at all, even if you try to look for it. But yeah, this is the best way to do it, kneeling on the ground and then reaching your hand up in there. But one thing I found interesting is the guy who had this had a manual car, and as you guys can see, he didn't have that module there because obviously he has a clutch pedal, but his install is just so much simpler than the DCT cars will be. So keep that in mind if you plan on doing this route. Otherwise, you may have to extend the harness for the boost gauge and go through the passenger side if you don't want to do it the way I'm doing it. But it is doable on both cars, just a lot easier on the manual ones. Okay guys, so I finally got the wire fished through the hole. That was a pain. It's not even through the grommet, it's just through the outside of the grommet and through the same hole. So hopefully the wire doesn't get pinched, or the casing doesn't get crushed by the hole and the sharp edge, but anyways, got that through. So that just needs to be routed up the side here into the top vent. Speaking of the top vent here, you want to use a small flathead, something like this. You want to pry at the front edge here, and eventually once you get it down deep enough, there is a little clip just like this that you guys kind of just push against, and it will go ahead and pop up. So that is pretty easy to take out, no problems there. So I'm gonna go ahead and route the wire up, finish some of the stuff under the engine bay, which I'll show you guys in a second, and then we can go ahead and try mounting the gauge in the vent area. So when you guys go to install the vacuum distribution block, if you buy it from Sixth, they have some really good instructions around their website. Mine is halfway set up here with the one side plugged and the other side with the vacuum line that goes to this box here. But you want to use the thick rubber grommet on the back side of the sensor once you pull it off here, and the thin one goes in the grooves right there, just like that. And then you go ahead and put, I believe it is this side facing the manifold, and the other side again with this thicker rubber grommet. Go ahead and tighten everything back down, and you will have your vacuum line that again goes to this box here, and then that sends this signal inside to the boost gauge. Alright, so here we are a few hours later, and I apologize for not filming a whole bunch on this install, but I kind of just put my head down and knocked this out. It was a little more tedious than I thought, but then again, I was also redoing the wiring down there to make it a little more tidy in my eyes, so that is one reason why it took a little longer than it should have. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the finished product per se. And we'll go ahead and start here in the engine bay. So as you guys saw, I installed the vacuum block by Sixth. Again, their instructions are really good on their website. So went ahead and installed that. I mounted the Defy vacuum or signal sender right here. I believe the previous owner did this as well, because there was a grade 8 bolt here with a little bit of a spacer, and it fits perfectly. It's just a little unthreaded plastic hole in the radiator support here. So I just went ahead and threaded that in there. Nice and sturdy. Went ahead and just kind of wrapped up the excess wire right here. Now starting off with the fuse block here, I have just two fuse taps tapped into the panel currently, one for ignition power and one for constant power. Now the boost gauge itself needs one constant and one ignition power source, so keep that in mind when going to install this. But anyways, I moved some stuff around. As you can see, I now have the controller for the exhaust valve up here mounted to part of that dash structure. It's just double-sided and zip tied up there. But anyways, that is a perfect spot, because then it kind of keeps all these wires that go to the switch kind of short and nice and tidy. And as you can see, I have the ignition fuse tap running to the side here, and it comes out right here into the distribution block. Now, I went ahead and did this because it kind of gives you extra space that you wouldn't think is usable in the car, but to run accessories and some low power stuff if you're pulling it from the fuse panel. So I have that power going right here, and all these are super low power and super low amperage devices. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to use this area for higher amperage draws, that I would definitely recommend pulling power from the battery and not from the fuse block. I have it tapped into a 10 amp fuse right here, and honestly, all three of these devices only pull about 5 amps if they're all in use, and the exhaust valve is only when the switch is activated. So again, between the dash camera and the boost gauge, it's probably like 1 or 2 amps. So I used 3 amp fuses in this block and nothing has failed me so far, so I think we are good to go. Okay, let's go ahead and show you guys what the boost gauge looks with some power applied to it. And I don't know if you guys just saw that flicker, but that is something that I'm not sure exactly if that's a ground or a power issue. But it works other than those weird flickers on power up and start and power down. Everything works fine. As you can see, it's got power right now and is working properly. But so far I've been pretty happy with this boost gauge. You can see the mount and the quality of it is really good. I believe this is made by somebody that really is not super recommended anymore in the industry. I think it's like Block 8 Head Designs or something weird like that, who makes these custom OEM mounts. I think they basically fuse the boost gauge mount to the OEM vent, and it looks super great. And again, you still get the functionality of that vent blowing on the side window if you need it. So that's why I'm super happy with this mount and everything. It looks super clean here on the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to install a boost gauge in your Elantra GT line. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't show every little step of installing this, but I kind of just went ahead and did it that night. But if you guys have any questions about how to install it, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. But like I said, I have been super happy with this boost gauge so far, and again, the 6th Element Engineering vacuum distribution block and everything like that. Once again, I got a super good deal, so I cannot complain. But other than that, I have a couple other sweet mods coming for the car, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I don't know if there's a little hint of the next one coming earlier in the installation part of this video or not. But yeah, with all that being said, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit that like button if you guys enjoyed it. It definitely helps me out. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, and one last thing I wanted to add to this video is that I have 2 sets of these OEM i30N door sill plates for sale. Pricing is the same as before, $110 shipped in the US and $140 shipped in Canada. If you live elsewhere, let me know and I'll be glad to give you a quote, including shipping. But again, these are a nice upgrade here on the driver and passenger side. Definitely brightens it up and gives you that nice N logo treatment, like we don't already have enough of them, right?